everyone. I wanted to spend some time going through a financial planning checkup that you can do with yourself, even just a quick 20-minute checkup to get an idea of where you're at and the progress you're making in your financial plan. And we'll talk about some of the things that are most important for you to review in this checkup. So let's dive right in. So why do we want to do a financial checkup to begin with, right? I think a lot of the people that we work with and our clients, they don't really think about their financial plan on a day-to-day level. And we always make the joke that like we need to take you off the treadmill of life, spend an hour together reviewing your financial plan, and then send you back out there and we'll touch base again in 6 months. That's how it goes with a lot of our clients, that we're taking the time to help with their financial plan. But outside of that, they're not really focusing on it very much. So having this kind of 20 minutes, even that you set aside for yourself, and you book your own personal meeting that you're going to review your financial plan, it'll just give you that time to actually sit down and think about what's going on and what's happening, instead of just trying to think about whether you're making progress in real time. Number two is going to be having the financial security with these regular check-ins. If we see that there's a small issue coming up, maybe you're overspending by a few bucks a month, and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's slowly compounding. And if you don't stop to take a look at what's going on, next thing you're in $5,000 of credit card debt because we weren't aware of the situation that you were in, and just continually not being able to pay that off. Or sometimes you could see that you opened up a Roth IRA for yourself or some type of retirement account. You never stop to check in and make sure that things are going well. And you realize that you never invested that money and you just put it into that retirement account and you accidentally had it sitting in cash for that whole time, right? Those are the type of situations that if we can catch that after 6 months, no big deal, we'll fix it. If you're never looking and reviewing your financial plan, these different minor things can compound into a big problem over time. And then lastly is tracking the progress toward your goals and seeing how we're doing there. We want to see the progress that you're making, looking back to where you were at 6 months ago or a year ago, and saying, okay, did I actually make progress in my financial plan? And is there noticeable progress that we can now continue with going forward? Or maybe I was actually stagnant for the last 6 months and I need to figure out a new strategy. So I think that's why it's important that we take a step back and review the financial plan and make sure we're on track. So what do you need to gather in order to do this financial review? First and foremost, you need to have your bank account statements, get an idea of what accounts you have set up, the credit card balances, get an investment statement or your most recent one to look at. And then also looking at some of the income sides of things, cash flows. We want to see your 1099s for last year, looking at your tax return. How did you end up from a tax standpoint? Was there opportunities that you could take advantage of there? And then if you're not using any of those type of like platforms like a QuickBooks or something like that, just having some type of Excel sheet that you can track your annual earnings and see how you're doing overall. And then thinking forward looking on your future planning, we want to think about what are some of the big expenses that you have coming up. Are you going to be going on a vacation and that's going to be eating away some of your funds? So you need to be setting aside some money to prepare for that, or home renovations that you want to plan for this year, next year, we need to be on track for, or just other big expenses that may be coming up down the road. Even things like the tax payment. Some of our clients were hit with a little bit harder tax payment than they were expecting in this April. So making sure that we're prepared for that and have some extra money set aside for that. So step one, the first thing that we'd want to review is going to be your net worth snapshot. And what your net worth is, we take what you own, so all of your assets. And I have an example here of it's about 1.4 million of assets that you own. And then you're going to subtract any of your debt or your liabilities to get to that net worth number. So we take this 1.37 million in my example here of having some cash, your home and your retirement accounts. We subtract out, maybe this is all your mortgage. You owe 500,000 left on your mortgage. So your net worth is going to be 870,000. And then we can start to track this number each year going forwards. A lot of my clients, when I talk with them, what they say about their financial plan is that sometimes it doesn't feel like they're making progress because they're putting some money towards this investment account. They're putting some money toward paying down their mortgage. They're putting some money toward their retirement plan, their kids' education plan, their savings account. And a lot of times they don't have a platform where they can see all these being tracked together. So that's one issue. But number two is they're just looking at each thing individually. And then they almost think of these things as like expenses, right? You're putting $500 a month toward a SEP IRA. It almost just feels like an expense, and you don't feel like you're making progress in the financial plan. So I really love the net worth number because it's one number that encompasses everything that you have going on in your financial plan. So it's just one nice and easy number for you to track. So we subtract out those liabilities from all of our assets. We just have this one net worth number. And so the nice part here is if you are paying down your mortgage, you're going to be lowering your debt, right? So that'll be increasing your net worth. And then if you're saving to investment accounts or savings accounts, then you're growing your assets. So then that'll increase your net worth as well. So everything is factored in here. Another great example is when someone does buy a house for the first time, they have maybe an investment account over here with 200 grand in it, and then they go put it toward a down payment of a house. And it feels like I just lost 200 grand, right? I just put that somewhere and that money's gone, but it's not going to be in the net worth statement because now you have your home value minus your mortgage, and that should be a $200,000 difference in my example. So you still have positive 200,000 going toward your net worth, even when you take the money out of your investment account and liquidate it, and then move it into the equity of a home. It's still going to be recorded on this. Number two is going to be income and spending overview. So if you do use any of those platforms that track your spending, you can go see what you spent on average each month to get a good idea of how you're doing on cash flows. Are you really spending everything that you're making, or maybe you have quite a bit left over that we can use toward your financial plan? So it's always good to just get an idea of what's actually going in and out the door each month. And this is another area, especially with core reporters, that I feel like gets overlooked all the time. They're not keeping tabs on what's going on with their cash flows and how much they're spending each month. They really have no idea. So we want to make sure we figure that out. And then lastly is with those financial goals, how much are you doing and how much can you be doing? Maybe you're doing $1,000 a month, but then this last year, your income has gone up 50% in your business and you never increased those financial goal contributions, right? Your income goes up, your savings needs to go up as well. So this is another area where you can assess, maybe I want to bump up every time I do a financial review with myself, I want to bump up my savings by 100 to 500 a month as long as my income went up, and keep making that progress in my contributions toward my plan. The last thing we want is that your income goes up and then your lifestyle just keeps going up right behind it. So you just keep increasing your lifestyle to match your income, and you're not taking advantage of those pay increases to be able to put more toward your financial plan. Step number three is going to be checking on your emergency fund. Emergency fund is always important for everyone, but especially for core reporters where you typically don't have any backup plans in place. You don't have any work benefits. Oftentimes, disability insurance is insanely expensive. So if you are getting disability insurance, it's probably not enough to cover everything and cover all of your expenses. So you really need to have a strong emergency fund. Now, on the personal side, I would say your emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months of expenses. That would be ideal. Typically, the way we look at this is if you are a dual income household, so you have a spouse that also works, you could probably get away with 3 months because the odds of both of you being out of work at the same time are relatively low. But if it's just you bringing in income for the household, you definitely want to be on the 6 month side and make sure that you can go half a year without having to liquidate any of your other accounts if you had no income coming in the door whatsoever. Separate from this, I think we also should have basically the same thing for your business as well, right? So your business accounts should be able to pay your personal self another 3 to 6 months. So essentially, you really could go to a year without working because you're going to spend down your 3 to 6 months of your personal money. And then you're going to have your business account that has another 3 to 6 months to cover all your business expenses and your personal salary. So you can just keep paying yourself for that time period as well. And so hopefully you could get up to 9 months or a year without working before you're completely exhausted business accounts and personal accounts. If you're not there yet, I would say a bare minimum would be starting at 1 month of expenses covered. But really, I wouldn't do anything in your financial plan until you have at least 3 months taken care of. Once you have 3 months of your expenses taken care of, ideally we want six, but maybe now you could break up your savings a little bit. Like $200 is going to go toward your retirement accounts, $200 toward your brokerage, your investment strategy, and then 200 is going to go toward keep building your emergency fund. And we can do all at the same time. I really would not do that until you're at least 3 months of expenses sitting in cash. If you're anything below that, any dollar that you have extra that you could save should all just be going towards building that emergency fund up as fast as possible. So step number 4 is going to be tracking toward the progress of your goals. So how are we doing toward that financial plan and those long-term goals that we have? So number one is if you're looking at like a home purchase, how much have you saved so far for the down payment? You can calculate from that point. If I keep saving the same amount per month, multiplied by whatever my timeline is, am I going to hit my goal? So maybe I only have 3 years left for my down payment goal, and I'm saving $500 a month. So I could do 500 times 12 times 3 and say, okay, if I do this with no investment growth at all, I'll be on track for my goal. And if I do get some investment growth, that's going to be the cherry on top for that part of my plan. So you can get a good idea of how you're doing there. Also, this is some people like this, some don't. It's up to you, but like a time off fund. The tough part about being a business owner, especially in your industry, is that when you take a day off, you are double affected by it. Number one, you're spending money instead of making money. And number two, you're not making money, right? So there's no money coming in, which is a downside, and there's more money going out. So it's a double compounding effect compared to someone who is a W-2 employee. They get paid time off. So they're only spending money, but they're still making it as well. So it's not really hurting them as badly as it is for someone like you, where you're not making money and you have money, extra money going out the door as well. So maybe we want to build up some time off money that you build a vacation fund every year, and you just keep replenishing that for each of your yearly vacations that you go on. Next is going to be tracking toward retirement. If you were at the convention last weekend, I did show some of those people how you could track toward a retirement goal, what the specific number that you would need to have sitting in your investment accounts at all times to be able to retire. Maybe this is something that I'll go through in a future webinar as well to give you an idea of how you can track toward retirement. But we want to make sure that we're making progress toward that. And then lastly is if you have any equipment upgrades, I would also put short-term goals in this as well, like paying for those conferences in conventions every year. Are we setting enough money aside to be prepared for that and the expected costs that we're going to have there? So those are the 4 main things that you could look at, and I should be pretty quick to go through each of these and make sure that you're making progress toward your financial plan. My favorite out of all of these is that net worth number. If you're just checking your net worth number once a month or once every 3 to 6 months, that's more than most people are doing. And will at least make sure that maybe you're not making the progress you want toward your financial plan, or you don't know if it's enough, but at least you know you're making progress and you're continuing to grow your net worth. So I really like that net worth number to track. So lastly, as far as your next steps for today, I think you need to first schedule that checkup with yourself, right? Put that meeting on the calendar. I know it feels weird, but just put a meeting down for yourself that I'm going to dedicate this time to go through this. Maybe this Saturday, you're going to go to a coffee shop and sit there for 20, 30 minutes and review your finances and make sure everything's in order and get a nice lay of the land of your financial plan. So make that appointment with yourself. Number two, download our 1-page printable guide. So you can use this QR code, and it's going to send you a link to our website. You just plug in your email, and I'll email you over this PDF guide that you can use. The PDF guide, basically, you're going to just plug in all these numbers that we talked about today and use that as a tracker. So you can save that somewhere on your computer or even print it out. And then every 6 months, you can just look at it again and rerun the numbers again, as another way to see the progress that you're making and having something to compare and put those two side by side. So make sure you download that so you can reference that. And then lastly, if this does just seem like too complex for you and you want to get some help reviewing your financial plan and making sure that you're on track, definitely consider reaching out to a professional. Our firm is a fee only firm, meaning we don't earn any commissions. And I would be happy to set up an intro call with you to review and see if we could be helpful for your financial plan. So I hope this was helpful today to get an idea of how you're tracking toward your financial plan and a quick review that you can do with yourself to make sure that you're making the progress you want to see. And let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.